Ladies and gentlemen, could I invite you to join me in a simple experiment? Close your eyes and place your hand on the left side of your chest. Feel that rhythm, the most primal dance we've known in our mother's wombs. But have you ever wondered, is there another rhythm with us? Not biological, but spiritual. One that can make our entire being resonate. We're even forgetting ourselves completely. Now, open your eyes. Today, I will tell you how I discovered that deeper rhythm. Hi, I'm Judy, and I've been in love with dance for as long as I can remember. About 8 years ago, this little girl right here discovered the very rhythm for the first time. I had just started learning dance at that time, and we were in a training camp in this enormous stadium. Our teacher positioned us tiny figures right in the center, flanked by the speakers that seems like a giant. Then he walked to the volume knob and turned it up and up and up. The music hit. No, it was like tsunami of sounds washing over us. I jumped. The beat was so powerful. It cut through the air, through my clothes, striking right into my chest. And then something magical happened. I feel my heartbeat synchronized with the drum beat. Perfectly in time. This wasn't noise anymore. It was as if my small body suddenly understood the language of music. At 8 years old, I was completely mesmerized. My arms opened freely. My steps landed firmly. Everything flowed naturally. The one song was brief, but inside, I felt incredible pure happiness. It was like a superpower awake inside me. The girl who always missed steps and lagged behind simply vanished. And I was witnessing its strength for the first time. That's my first encounter, what psychologists call the flow state, a magical moment when you are in the zone. Then I become fully addicted to this feeling, and I found myself chasing it everywhere. But sometimes the chase can lead to an embarrassing moment. Like one day, while walking through the empty hallway at school, without thinking, I began to spin. For 10 whole minutes, I was lost in my own dance, smiling and enjoying it fully. But then I look up at the end of the corridor. Every window of the classroom was filled with students, their eyes wide, pointing and laughing. It was like tiny little needles instantly burst my happy bubble. Boom! I was back to the real world. And I just ran away. I thought what I missed was those stadium, those giant speakers. So I went to looking for it. I entered a prestigious youth dance company, believing this would lead me back to the girl who began the music. However, what I entered was a dance measured in rows. For the first time, my dance had a number. The 8th row, the 5th row, the 3rd row, the 2nd row. I pushed myself continuously. My muscles surged. My clothes were soaked with sweat. But finally, I reached the 1st row, the center stage. Before I could even enjoy this real victory, a notice arrived. I was promoted to a new class. a new class, a new teachers, a new last row. It was a circle without end, and my eyes were trained to do only two things: count the numbers of heads in front of me and see who was advancing from behind. I was getting better and better, good enough to demonstrate, good enough to lead. But my eyes no longer held the light. It was filled with nervous fear and calculating fear of losing this spot. The girl who let the music move through her body was gone. And as she faded, this sense of loss began to seep in every corner of my life. I became hesitant. I would rehearse and answer 10 times before I raised my hand in class. I would reply a conversation many times, analyzing other person's expression. I was trapped in a silent, all-consuming internal battle. Eventually, I ran away. I escaped to an adults class. I thought it would be totally different. But there, facing me, was an even larger, more cruel mirror. My gaze, like malfunctioning scanner, would skim over my own reflection and lock onto other peers. How did they learn choreography so fast? Has she improved again? Why is her wave so smooth? And why do mine look so awkward? That mirror became a truth-telling mirror, and it reflected not the flaws of my technique, but all the insecurity and fear in my heart. In staring at that reflection, I realized I had been running for so long that I forgot why I ever started. And I almost convinced myself that little girl who let the music move through her body was gone and lost me forever. That is, until the last month when I attended a session of dance therapy. The course was really short, only 3 days, but it shook me to the core in the best way possible. There are no counts, no set choreography, none of traditional teaching and learning I had grown up with. Instead, our teacher tells us to use our body, bypassing our busy mind and tell our stories. The part should have been my favorite, instead filled me with dread. We each had to choose a song to improvise a dance on spot. Me, with a decade of formal dance training, become fully panicked in a room full of mostly dance beginner. My mind was racing. What songs should I pick? Should I choreography something else beforehand? What story should I even tell? That night, I was so anxious I could barely sleep. I was terrified of just dancing. However, I stood on that little stage. As the music started, a melody I knew and loved, a miracle happened. I let my body sink down, gently, lowering myself until my palms were flat against the ground, and awaking, starting in my fingertips, then spreading my wrist, forearms, upper arms, shoulders, neck, and head. It was like frozen ground. Slowly, each by each, began to thaw. My body, no longer listening to a charting commander in my head. It was listening to an older, wiser command. The flow of live instant and raw emotion. My body began to move on its own, trusting the music, allowing it where it wanted to go, and I heard that familiar drum again. Pow, 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 pow. I knew she was back. I wasn't in control, and I didn't need to be. I understood. Every bit of being lost in our lives thing, from a quiet betray between our mind and our body. Our mind, the commander filled with should, comparison, and judgment, has held our body hostage. It whispers, your movement isn't beautiful enough. You are not as good as others. They will laugh at you. So, in fear, we grew our body stiff and we forgot the rhythm we were born with. So you may ask, what is flow? It is when the body and mind meet once again. It is when the thinking self finally lets go and surrounding with the wisdom of flesh. This isn't some rare gift. It is birthright, a native language we all once spoke before we grew up and forgot. Remember the girl from the stadium center, the girl from the empty hallway. Fearless, purely joyful. She isn't far away. She's part of ourselves. We hide in it, wrapping layers of reasons and talk behind the fear of judgment. Finding flow isn't about going somewhere far. It is homecoming. It is not about being better you. It is about being truly. So, whenever you are, however far you wander, that true self, the one that can resonate with the universe, she's still there, resting deep inside you. Your task isn't about search any longer. It is to kneel down gently and wake her. That's all. Thank you.